When Alexander cut the Gordian knot, as the I newspaper pointed out, he didn't waste hours fiddling with loops of rope, he simply cut it. And the ancient Greeks thought this was glorious, and it seems to me that it's cheating, the 333 BC equivalent of Googling the pub quiz answers under the table. But at least Alexander didn't make the knot harder to untangle. Keir Starmer seems intent on doing just that, and the I newspaper claims he's trying to save Angela Rayner from herself. I think that's one. I think that one's gone, frankly, and so, for that matter, has Rachel Reeves. If Starmer is in the business of rescue, he should look to himself, or better yet, to his government, because after 1 year in office, this Labour administration is shaping up to be one of the most disastrous first-year performances since Callaghan's winter of discontent. We are invited to see Starmer as a chivalrous leader, gallantly shielding his deputy and his chancellor from political harm. But gallantry in politics is not about standing in front of your colleague to take the bullet, it's about ensuring the bullet never leaves the chamber. And here the Prime Minister has failed. Angela Rayner is popular with the grassroots, certainly. She's also the architect of the Employment Rights Bill, a costly piece of legislation that may further dampen a labour market already in decline. To preserve party peace, Starmer refuses to challenge her, even though economically the bill resembles pouring wet cement into the gears of an already struggling engine. The 2025 version of the Gordian knot, which is not my image, it's the image from the I newspaper, is a toxic bundle of sluggish growth, high public spending, failing recruitment, inflation stubbornly above target, and a tax burden that chokes confidence. The government's first attempt at untangling it, Reeves' national insurance rise and selective cuts, failed. Hiring is down, borrowing is up, and debt interest in June alone was nearly the annual policing budget. Alexander cut through a knot. Starmer has taken that knot and added extra loops for good measure, so that perhaps you won't even notice it. Starmer entered office promising growth as the foundation for social change, and without growth, the social programme collapses. Yet instead of clearing obstacles, the government is stacking them and justifying these problems in the name of internal party harmony. And the logic appears to be we can't afford to alienate Rayner, so we'll absorb the political and economic damage instead. It's misplaced gallantry, sacrificing the country's economic stability for a quiet life in the party's high command. Labour's own political polling shows the public can't name a single clear achievement after a year in power. Approval is at 13%, already matching the Tory death spiral numbers of 2023. There's no overarching narrative, no sense of mission, and this vacuum is being filled not by Labour's achievements, but by Reform UK's insurgent confidence and the Greens' growing pull on the left. Instead of slaying the dragon, Starmer is leaning on the castle wall, telling us to wait, rather like Harpo in the Marx Brothers. Do you think you're holding that wall up? And Harpo walks away and the wall falls down. The electorate is volatile. Reform now appeals to demographics Labour once considered safe, young, urban, pro-European voters who are flirting with Nigel Farage. And on the left, Corbyn and Zara Sultana's breakaway project could drain progressive support in exactly the seats Labour needs to hold. And I've got a gripe with Zara Sultana. I don't understand. You might not like a law. There's many laws I don't like. But you at least respect it when police are arresting people. You don't turn around and say all those 500 people, more than 500 people who were arrested on Sunday are heroes. The law should never have been enacted, and the Palestine Authority, the Palestine Action Group should never have been proscribed. But you can't turn around and then say these people who are accused of criminal behaviour are heroes and remain a member of the British Parliament. It doesn't make any sense. But that's the tweet Zara Sultana has put out. If Starmer tacks right, he bleeds to the left. If he leans left, he alienates the centre. This isn't gallantry. It's a man straddling two steeds galloping in opposite directions. We know how that story ends. The image of the charioteer, which is put forward by Plato, is of a charioteer who can tame those two wild steeds so that they go in the same direction. Real gallantry in politics is not about protecting the pride of your deputy. It's about or deferring conflict to avoid uncomfortable NEC meetings. It's about confronting the people and the policies in your own team that are damaging your capacity to grow and to govern. It's about saying, this won't work, but this wouldn't work, and we couldn't afford it. We can't afford it. And taking the political hit now rather than the electoral defeat later. It's about thinking of the country rather than thinking about your base or your party. And Starmer seems to believe that avoiding short-term fights will preserve his long-term position. In reality, it's ensuring that when the crunch comes, and it will, he'll face a revolt from a party that has already decided he's not the man for the job. Alexander's sword stroke may have been an act of swaggering arrogance, but it solved the problem. Starmer's misplaced gallantry risks leaving Britain with a knot so tangled that whoever comes next will have no choice but to cut deep. And that actually is precisely the sort of knot that Rishi Sunak left. And here's the truth. If he carries on like this, the next person wielding that sword won't be Keir Starmer. It'll be his successor. And that may be someone in the Labour Party. It may be somebody in an entirely different party. Keir Starmer could well bring down his own government with behaviour of such absurd gallantry and misdirection and misconceived honour. The honour of a Prime Minister is to act in the interests of the people.